Now moving on to the discussion. Part 1. The segmented method and linear methods are both regression analysis. This means they allow you to examine the relationship between two or more variables of interest. In segmented method, the variables are separated into intervals, and a segment line is drawn to fit each interval. This method requires more points to be plotted, thus making it more accurate. On the other hand, for the linear method, the graph with the best fit line is drawn. This method is not suitable for low concentrations, as this will lead to errors. This is because only a few points are plotted on a best fit line graph. As for factors that need to be considered when deciding which method to use, there are a few. The most important one is the method that gives us the most accurate results. Besides that, we have to consider the concentrations of the solutions that we will be measuring. Part 2.
Calibration graph. As shown from the graph, the calibration graph drawn on Excel is very similar to the one we have obtained from the equipment. However, the data had to be further processed in order for both graphs to have the same axis. The concentrations had to be changed to px through the formula px equals negative log concentration. The last graph is the calibration graph. If we left the x-axis as the concentration in parts per million, ppm, the graph is more curved and there is a small peak in the initial part of the graph.
Moving on to discussion part 3.
T-sub. T-sub stands for Total Ionic Strength Adjustment Buffer. The purpose of adding T-sub is to minimize interference between the samples and the electrode. T-sub contains three components. Firstly, a pH buffer to keep the pH at 5 such as an acetic acid, and a metal ion binding component like EDTA to prevent the fluoride ion from binding to metal ions, and lastly, an inert salt, NaCl or KNO3 to provide constant ionic strength. If there is an insufficient T-sub added to the samples, the value of the fluoride concentration will be inaccurate. The final reading of the ISC will be higher than the actual value.
Discussion part 4.
Concentrations of fluoride in water samples. As shown in the table, the concentration of fluoride in the tap water sample is less than that of the literature value found for tap water in Malaysia. The percentage difference is 17.7%.